Hey guys, Zack with Airsoft Tactical. Today we're going to be taking an in-depth look on batteries. The pros, the cons, and really what's the difference between them all anyway. Probably the most common misconception that I hear about batteries, that they decrease or increase your feet per second. And it's simply not true. All your battery is doing is powering your motor, which is turning your gears and the piston, which brings it back, and poof! The primary thing that dictates your feet per second is going to be your spring. All batteries are going to affect your trigger response and your rate of fire. That's all they do. Your rate of fire is going to be dictated by your voltage, which is the first number you normally see on your battery. Here, it's normally the biggest number you see. This is a 7.4 LiPo. 7.4 is the voltage. You have your 9.6, 8.4, your 11.1 volt LiPos, your 10.8 volts NIMH batteries. We'll go into what exactly your voltage does for you later on in the video. The second number you normally see is your milliamperage rating. That's going to be anywhere from 1100, 1200, 1600, 2200. And all that really is your capacity of your battery. It's how many shots you're going to get out of your battery. You get more shots out of a 1600 milliamperage battery than you do, say, a 1000 milliamperage battery. Now, the mileage and actually the rate of fire on your battery is going to depend on several key factors, such as your resistance. This is resistance. Resistance is basically the amount, the length of wire and the diameter and the quality of your wire, how conductive it is. The more wire, the more resistance there is in the system, the more it's going to negatively impact your rate of fire. The temperature outside, your NIMH, or NIM batteries, what we call them, are more affected by colder weather than, say, your LiPos, which perform a lot better in the cold than your NIM battery. The spring in your gun is going to dictate your rate of fire and how many shots you get out of your battery. It's going to cause a higher workload for your motor, which means it's going to use up more juice. You pop an M120 spring into your gun, you're going to notice that you get less shots out of your battery. Your motor is also going to dictate your rate of fire, how many shots you get out of your battery, as well as your gear set ratio. So if you have like a high torque setup, you're putting the workload on your gears as opposed to your motor. If you have a high torque gear set and a high torque motor, you're putting way less stress on your mechanical load and your battery, so it'll improve your overall efficiency. Some of you may have the NICD battery. We call them NiCads. Those are an older type of battery. They're normally really large, have a memory effect, which means if you charge them up, shoot a couple of mags out, and you go to charge it again, it's only going to ever charge that much. You eventually lose more and more shots over time. That's why it's imperative that you would use a smart charger if you do have a NiCad battery. If you have a NiCad battery, highly suggest you going with a NIM battery, which doesn't have anywhere near the same amount of problems with your memory effect. There are several types of NIM batteries out there. You have what comes with your gun, which are normally substandard. They don't last long. A lot of times they only include them with your gun, and they normally only last as long as the warranty on your gun. They're pretty terrible. You have your premium 8.4 volt batteries. This one is 8.4, 1600 milliamperage. And normally this gives you a rate of fire about 8 to 10 rounds a second, depending on your setup. Then you have your 9.6 NIM batteries. This is going to give you about 15 rounds a second, depending on your setup again. And with the 1600 milliamperage, you get anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 shots. It really depends. These particular batteries are Elite Force ones, and we can guarantee them for 1 full year. You get them from us, and provided you use your smart charger, which was talked about in a previous video. The other kind of battery out there is your LiPo battery. This is a 7.4 volt, and this is an 11.1 volt. Now, the thing about LiPos is if you treat them badly, you don't handle them properly, they will burst into flames. LiPos are damaged when you discharge them all the way. If you charge them on a NIM charger, you have to use a LiPo charger to charge your LiPos. This little piggy right here is how you charge it, and this little piggy goes into your gun. Don't confuse the two. LiPo batteries are a lot more fragile than your NIM batteries. So if you cram this into that buffer tube and you twist it just right, if you damage a cell, it'll get puffy, and again, you can destroy your battery that way. Your 7.4 volt LiPo is going to have very similar discharge characteristics as your 9.6 volt NIMs. Your 11.1 volt LiPos, because of the higher voltage, They are ideal for higher round per second guns if you're looking for a really high rate of fire, or if you have a very high or heavy spring in it, it's good for high feet per second builds as well. LiPos also have a C rating. C rating depicts the discharge rate of the battery. Now we're going to go into some sciencey stuff here. The higher the voltage, the more pressure in the system. The less resistance is more focused. Resistance would be S of this. So we can make this go further by increasing the voltage or the pressure. Or we can use less voltage but less resistance. Or we can use less voltage but higher discharge. So the fuse, so the idea of the fuse is that your batteries don't always discharge at the same rate. Sometimes they have high spikes. Those high discharge spikes is like, now when you have a high discharge like that, if you don't have a fuse, it could trash your wiring, it could trash your motor. This is what MOSFETs are designed to do. They're designed to regulate that, so that way it catches any of these sudden increases. When you have a sudden discharge spike like that, that's when your fuse blows. The pros with going to a LiPo is that it has a better discharge curve. You start off the day shooting about, let's say, 10 rounds a second, and towards the end of the capacity of your battery, you're still shooting about 10 rounds a second. It's when your rate of fire starts to go down, you want to unplug your LiPo. There are special gadgets out there you can hook up, which will automatically cut off, or it will warn you when your LiPo is about to run dry. Whereas with your NIM battery, you start off the day with 10 rounds a second, and throughout the day, it gradually gets 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 until it's done. Another benefit of the LiPos is that they have much better performance in the cold. Your 11.1 volt LiPos will also have a better trigger response and a higher rate of fire. LiPos are also smaller than your NIM counterparts. These are both 1600 milliamp batteries, and you can see there's a considerable size difference between them. This is good for your guns that are kind of specialized guns, or guns like the Honey Badger, not Honey Badger, that have a very small battery compartment. If you have a smaller battery compartment, your LiPo will accommodate it better. LiPos in general, in terms of their lifespan, they last a lot longer than your NIMs. Normally a good NIM battery will last you 1 to 2 years. Your LiPos, if you take care of them, will last much longer. So in terms of efficiency, there's several things you could do to your gun to make your battery last longer. Now, every gun is not LiPo ready. The gun has to specifically say that is 11.1 LiPo ready. And even then, most guns are only made to accommodate the 15 to 20 C rating. A very good upgrade for any gun would be to get Dean's connectors. Dean's are a very simple and very affordable upgrade to lower the resistance on your gun, because your Tamiya connectors, you just have these little teeny tiny posts, and I've heard that you have as little as a 15 to 20% efficiency rate, because with it being that small, a lot of your energy is lost to heat. Another good upgrade for your gun would be to have lower resistance wiring. Now you could either get the wires that are more conductive or get thicker gauge wiring. The thicker your wire, the less resistance there is, the less electricity is converted to heat, and overall the more efficient your system is going to be. Another good efficiency upgrade for your gun would be to install a MOSFET. It'll help to protect your trigger contacts, as well as also to help protect your motor and the longevity of your wiring in general. Another good upgrade you can do to help out with your battery life would be to install the appropriate gear set for what you're trying to do. If you want a high-speed build, get some high-speed gears. Normally, using a high-torque gear set will take more of the workload off of your motor and your battery, therefore giving you better battery life. So, what battery do I get for my gun? Well, the first thing you want to determine is your gun LiPo ready? And that should be something that should be clearly spelled out in your manual, or should be clearly stated by the brand or the OEM. Some guns that are advertised as LiPo ready, as you know, would be like your KWA, your Crytax, your Elite level Humorex guns, or your Elite Force guns, the Amoeba Lion, etc. Those are specifically advertised as 11.1 LiPo ready. Normally, if your gun does not have a MOSFET, we would normally caution against using an 11.1 volt LiPo, because of the high discharge rating. Besides ruining your wiring using an 11-1 LiPo on a gun that's not ready for it, you can break your gears, you can destroy a piston, you can destroy your motor as well. So there's many factors you want to take into consideration when running an 11-1 LiPo on your gun. All of the guns I have, I run 11-1 on, and they were either 11-1 from the factory, or I broke them so many times that I put the proper parts in it to where they stopped breaking with the 11-1 LiPos. Which one?
Very specific about it.
It's more than yours.
Okay, perfect. I'm really excited. Actually, I think
We need everything here. Okay. I was looking for it, really, I couldn't find it.
It's probably in
So don't run 11-1 unless your gun can handle it. And even if it can handle it, it's generally accepted that because you're shooting more rounds per second, that you're going through the life of your parts and your gun quicker. Just be prepared to replace some parts when you start running the fun life with the 11-1. There's nothing wrong with an 8.4 volt battery. If you have a high feet per second gun, like an SR25 or say like your high velocity combat machines, you may have a harder time pulling that spring back on an 8.4 than you would say a 9.6. You can use a 9.6 volt and pretty much any airsoft gun. Now I wouldn't put them in like your plastic gearbox guns, but by and large a 9.6 volt is a good battery upgrade for any gun. Your 7.4 volt LiPos, I would say almost every airsoft gun you can use them in. Be careful with the high discharge ones. There are some 30C74 LiPos out there that will destroy your gun in a heartbeat. So just be mindful of the batteries you get. I want to show you a quick object lesson real quick in resistance. I'm going to take the 7.4 LiPo. So this is life on a 7.4. Very little resistance between this wire and where it gets to the gearbox. Pretty good, right? Now, let's add some resistance to the mix. Stupid barrel, why you do this? Look, this is like, what, 3 feet worth of resistance? Let's see what happens when we put all this extra wire and use the exact same battery. Makes a huge difference. If you have multiple wire extensions on your gun, you're definitely going to eat into the efficiency and the rate of fire of your airsoft gun. Resistance is futile unless you cut it out and solder your battery directly to your gun. So this has covered the basics on what those crazy numbers mean on all those batteries, and hopefully this has helped you choose the battery that's right for you. If you have any more questions or you'd like us to elaborate or prove us wrong on something, leave a comment in the comment section below and we'll get back to you and we'll help you out the best we can. And this is a helmet. It looks cool. So the first thing we're going to do is...
camera, spit it out, boy!
Another one! Hear ye, hear ye! If you want to have maximum efficiency from your battery, install it a MOSFET!
What? We had him in...
resistance!
Hello! These stumbling over my words because I can't speak English. Probably go a quick... Greetings, comrades! Are you liking what you're seeing? Do you need more Zack in your life? You need to hit the like and subscribe button wherever they are. Wherever you are in the world, you need more. Ivan, do you need more Ivan in your life? You need to hit like and subscribe. Ivan is very lonely. He gets very capital sometimes and he cries. But we can't have that because we need more likes and subscriptions, comrades. You need more Fazzy. Always need more Fazzy in your life, comrade. Between choosing having Fazzy and Zakhnakov and Ivan in your life and not having, always go with the short things, comrades.
Awesome.